Concerned about decamped cellist Caitlin, Inspector Greystone recruited our retinue of rhapsodic researchers to track her down. The clues pointed to a fancy fundraiser that our party lacks funds to attend. We rejoin our heroes as they search for ways to gain access to the extravagant auction.
Let's go over to Aubrey.
Yeah, so I am gonna check in with an old coworker, Van Montgomery.
Van Montgomery.
Yes.
Okay.
They are quite a bit older than me, a few decades older, and helped me out when I was someone who wanted to spend time sitting in nature and didn't know how to make that a job. Van being someone who also liked hanging out in nature, not talking to people, but had just enough business sense, people skills to be able to make it work as a landscaper. Saw Aubrey as someone in a similar position, and also someone who wouldn't try to talk to them while they were working. And so sort of helped Aubrey figure out the business side. But I would say that despite having worked together fairly closely for a few years, a little while ago, we've exchanged, a dozen sentences with each other probably, because most of the time we just worked in comfortable silence. I think now they're a little bit older, we're looking for a little bit more stability, and sort of stopped landscaping around and sort of settled in one space that they've now curated to kind of be their
I know exactly what this space is.
Yeah.
So you're showing up to their garden space then?
I think so. Yeah.
So you show up to their garden space. It is in Left Town.
Great. That's near me.
Near the top of the hill with a view looking towards the lake. It is a small plot of land with a tiny, tiny little cottage house on it, with bamboo sort of forming a fence of privacy, so that when you step in through the small gate that leads into their yard, it feels completely cut off from the outside world. The light shifts as the setting sun sort of starts to filter through bamboo, and you see spread around their yard bonsai. They have curated this incredible space, trees that for a fact some of them they inherited.
These are old.
You know that the jewel, the prize piece of their collection, is approaching 1,000 years old, to the best of their estimate, and has been maintained by over 20 different bonsai masters in the time that it has been cared for.
I get so distracted from the reason for coming here, just sort of squatting down and looking at the bonsai trees.
So, as far as I know, there are two sort of main schools of bonsai. One where you strive to create perfect symmetry in plants, to make something that looks like it is so well maintained and cared for. And the other is what Van practices, and that is to try and create the image of a tree that is living on the absolute bare edge of its habitat, while keeping it incredibly healthy. So what you see are trees that look like they're growing right at the tree line of a mountain. They're twisted and they're gnarled, and they look like they are blown by winds, even though they are incredibly well cared for. And you see Van is there training a branch, wrapping some wire around it and sort of bending it just a little bit and wrapping some more wire in order to hold it into a new position.
I walk up and am about to say hi and just alert them to my presence. And then I just turn and look at one, and the way that the roots are sort of going through the sort of pumice stone holes in the rock, and just sort of squat down and just sort of ponder it for so long.
You're maybe not entirely sure how long you're squatting there looking at this tree. You sort of get lost in your own thoughts for a moment and get shaken out when Van says, "Kid."
Van? Nice stuff. Aubrey's almost crying. She's really choked up by the bonsai trees.
You don't come by often.
You don't like company that much. Don't want to overstep.
But if you ever wanted to get into bonsai, got a couple starters for you. Easy ones. Young ones.
You trust me more than most. More than I trust myself, maybe.
I've seen your work.
How's things?
They just gesture around at their garden.
Fan Sweeten's paying you well.
About to auction some of my trees tomorrow.
Aubrey looks sort of... They can see on her face sort of torn between being really happy for them and also just like a sort of anger and disappointment that whoever ends up with these is not going to appreciate how much time Van put into them.
It's what it is. Comes with a care contract. Maintain them for as long as my bones hold out.
You give them all names?
Not in words. But yeah.
You're gonna be there tomorrow then? You want help?
You offering?
I want to see what you've done with the place.
Could use a pair of hands.
How about 2?
2 pair? Someone who knows?
Someone who tries.
Someone who can keep their hands to themselves?
If they don't, I'll kick their ass.
Good enough. Got some jumpsuits in the shed.
Right on.
Sensing that the conversation is mostly wound down, return to their work and leave you to sit and look at the trees for as long as you like.
In a teacup, something giant made small, a tempest contained to a pod, but growing tall, hounded by the weather, hounded by the wild, something so old that still looks like a child. How do you grow? How do you grow? How do you grow? Oh, how do you grow? How do you grow? How do you grow?
Aubrey, give me a perception check. You know this person fairly well, so it's gonna be against 2, but you're gonna add a blue to it for sort of that familiarity.
Just what a rank in perception.
Nice.
Yeehaw. It exactly cancels out, unfortunately. Let me see. I don't think I have anything cool. This isn't related to tracking someone, right?
It
No,
is
it's not. Then that's all I got.
So what I will tell you is, for Van, that was very animated.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have never heard them, aside from when they were, like, once you got them on a roll about...
Mulch.
I was going to say, so even when they're talking about mulch, it's just like...
Just gesturing at mulch.
3 yards. Too shallow. That sort of thing. The times where they felt like they were really helping you, where you were talking about, gosh, how dumb is it that you have to file papers with the city to let someone pay you to take care of their plants. Like, that level of animation pales in compared to the exchange that you just had. They are highly, highly animated.
Yeah. I think I'm sort of too taken with that fact in the moment to wonder if there's any cause for it, other than the fact that someone stopped by. But maybe something will come to me later.
Over to Mara.
Yep. I have pulled the Poirsche into my... Well, because we established I'm kind of living in like an offshoot of the house, right?
Yeah, and sort of the carriage house.
Yeah. Of it.
Pulled Porsche is my favorite sandwich.
So true. I'll pull up and, usually the routine is I just park in my driveway and go right in. But yeah, I'll walk over and go through the side door into the main house.
As usual, the door is opened for you.
Right. Sorry.
Yes. The door is opened for you by a uniformed servant who remains silent. I imagine them dressed in a very deep red sort of pantsuit, styled in such a way as to sort of androgynize them. Their hair is, up and back and slicked, and they are instructed to not speak unless directly spoken to at all times, as you well know.
Gregor, is my mother in her office?
She is, miss.
And is it visiting hours?
It is, miss. Her temper is under control today.
Wonderful. Thank you. If you will give me leave, I will go up there myself. I need to speak with her for a moment.
Of course, Mistress Malady.
Elevator?
Of course.
Great. Take that on up.
It is smooth in its action. There's not even like a jolt when it starts. It's frictionless.
Yeah. Okay, and I imagine, the office is down a bit of a hallway, overlooking something gorgeous, something terrifying.
Yes, the plush carpets absorbing all sound from your footsteps. The portraits of your ancestors looking down on you.
All scowling.
Absolutely.
With eyes that seem to follow you.
Yep, very haunted.
Who can say if the eyes are cut out and actually people are looking at you from behind them? But
Exactly.
the vibe is of that.
The weight of 1,000 generations of disappointment.
That's how she wanted it. Jeez. Lovely. Well, Mark makes sure her clothes are all neat and her hair is in place and pulls out compact, looks real quick. Makeup looks good. Takes a deep breath and, for old time's sake, does the knock on her mother's office door that she used to do when she was a kid.
It's open.
Open and walk on in. Hello, Mother. I hope I'm not disturbing you.
She holds up one finger as she's finishing up writing something. I'm sorry, dear. So lovely to see you, Malady. Welcome. It's such a rare treat to have you here in the main house.
Oh, well, indeed, and I apologize for my lack of visitation. She closes the door behind her, trying to maintain some sense of composure. I hope this is an okay time for you. Gregor said that you weren't too busy.
She takes the document which she was writing on, rolls it up, tucks it into a small glass tube, places it into a receptacle in the wall where it shoomps away, and you look around this office that you maybe come into once a year, right? And you see it is completely unchanged. Everything that your mother wants is within easy reach. Everything prepared perfectly, everything precisely in its place. And you can see that she is made up equally precisely. Could you describe how your mother looks?
She has these features that are stunningly gorgeous and has aged. Fine wine doesn't even begin to describe it. And the features are so sharp and pristine that you're almost scared of how attracted you are of her. Or attracted you are to her, if you're a part of her family, obviously. But like it's like the kind of like, oh, you're taken aback by how striking she is. She's dressed in all black, but she has a red accent and kind of the power suit that she's wearing. And she has a necklace that she always wears that what Mara knows to be is old family jewelry. Red manicured nails, and is very collected, just very calm, and dark hair, styled always the same way, but very straight and very slick and healthy, and eyes that will pierce through you in a moment's notice. But right now they're relatively calm, kind of like the sea, it's like the calm before a potential storm. You can just see that she's genuinely happy to see her daughter, but knows that there might be something she can toy with.
Tell me, Melody, these business associates of yours, are you finding success with them?
You could see Mara tries not to flinch every time her full name is used. Actually, that was what I was coming here to speak with you about. As you know, my hobby that I've been pursuing with the detective work, I've actually come into contact with someone who's had much more success in this field, and I remember you telling me to be important to keep those currently above you in success levels close so that you may betray them in the future. He's a man that I know that I could wrap my finger around quite easily. And so I think the next step in this is, by the way, this is all just her blowing smoke, but who knows? But he's actually procured an invitation from Freddie himself to the auction tomorrow. And I thought it would be best for me to accompany him to perhaps marry the two worlds, one that I've been pursuing, albeit a bit carelessly, and in the world of the Empire that I know I already exist in.
Well, my dear, I have to admit I wasn't sure you were always listening to me when I was giving you these crucial life lessons, but if I were you, I would be careful before throwing the M word around when it comes to someone as brash as Freddie. He may come from old money, but he's not the marrying kind, I think.
Mara's face gets beet red. Oh, Mother, no, I was not suggesting, you know that I've rejected every sort of advance from him. If anything...
Of course, but a woman is entitled to change her mind, isn't she?
Yeah. That's a song.
The tide rolls in, the tide rolls out. That's what life of power is about. You can change your mind at any time. You can point and say, that person is mine, when you're a woman of the sea.
Yes, I know what I've been told. I know these stories of old, but I do think I bring a bit of care, a bit of time, a bit of curiosity, a new perspective, dare I say, you might not have seen. Oh, as a woman of the sea.
I never met a woman whose curiosity could harm her. You use it to find a chink in his armor. You find a path into his heart. And my dear sweet girl, that's when your real work starts. As a woman of the sea.
Believe me, I know how the game is played. I know I don't come around here like I used to every day. But trust that what I'm doing, it's no more child's play. I know what I want and how to get it my way. As a
Woman of the sea.
make them listen to me. As a woman,
As a woman of the sea. Of the sea.
that was pretty fucking good.
That was fire.
That was so good.
That's gonna be a top fiver. That was great.
We need them to present at the Women in STEM conference.
Yeah. Hey, yo. Yeah. So, anyway, she's a bit flustered, but trying to compose herself. I know that the work that I'm doing is not on any sort of level of what you would have hoped for me, Mother. But know that I am taking the sort of ruthlessness that I know is been shoved down for decades, and all of these people I've been associating with trust that they are no more than toys.
I can see that you're no longer a girl. You're taking your first steps into my world. And this whole investigative plan seems like a good way to get a man who you can leverage.
Yes, I do think it would be a very charming and seemingly innocent front for whatever work I could truly be doing puppeteering behind the scenes. And so that is why I've come to ask you if you can fund 2 places at a table for the auction tomorrow.
Now, would those be seats at my table, or would you prefer a table of your own?
Well, my concern would be, in your shadow, I may not be able to do the kind of subtle work I've been hoping to with this new professional contact.
Of course.
I've found that sometimes keeping my identity a secret has been a useful weapon. And the connections that I have and the stature of you and all of us in this town and beyond is nice leverage to pull out only when I need it.
Well, of course, I'm happy to give you any funds you require, my dear. And if your plan requires it to appear independent, then that's nothing but a trifle. It's easily handled. I would caution you, though, about the Van Sweetens. They are old money, and not always what they appear.
I must agree with you on that front, Mother, as I do suspect a worldly danger that comes from their perhaps shaded line of work.
Just so.
I might know more than you think.
She cocks an eyebrow up at you. And so you might. I will be watching you at this party. Subtly, of course. And should you entangle yourself in any seaweed too strong for you to swim out of, I will step in and ensure that my beloved daughter is safe.
I appreciate that, Mother, and know that as a token of my gratitude, I'll come by more often and show less restraint in the endeavors you wish to include me in.
I'll make sure that your favorite lunch is prepared when you come over.
Great. Thank you, Mom.
I look forward to seeing you more often, dearest.
Of course, you have my word. She slips out. And then, okay, cool. She's like, "Ugh,
Yeah, what's Mara's decompression routine
I
after
know.
dealing with mom?
A couple laps in the pool, honestly. Yeah.
Totally.
Which pool?
That sounds good.
The one that's downstairs.
Okay, the indoor one or the outdoor one?
Indoor right now, because what season is it, you know?
There might be an upstairs pool that is so, like,
Rich.
so rich and, like, just confident that the engineering will never fail. And if any water were to come out, it would just
pool is
like the rooftop infinity pool.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And we're on the West Coast. So,
The
earthquakes.
big one's we're overdue for a big one.
Did we do all the side?
Those were all the things that I had.
Yeah.
There's sort of plenty of time if there is anything else that you want to accomplish that you think you could accomplish in an afternoon. There's absolutely that time.
So in our last session or earlier, we had Greystone do a lore check, and you had said that everything that we learned about Caitlin sounded consistent with cult activity.
Yes.
I would say that while Greystone is getting in Caitlin's head, he's trying to learn anything about this cult as well. And of course, he understands cults tend to be secretive sometimes, but if there's any information that he can pick up as to like what the appeal of this is and what's pulling people in.
Yeah.
This cult is Van Sweeten, right? That was the warning.
Going to be precise about what I say.
Yeah.
The behavior of someone who would grab all of their money, separate from their partner, and disappear is consistent with what you know about cults.
Right.
You have no direct evidence so far that a cult exists.
But Van Sweeten is the guy that we're suspecting.
Yes.
Freddy.
And
Yeah.
Mama Vertere just gave a pretty clear warning that something's going on.
Also super funny for the siren who's disguising herself as a woman to be, or like a human woman to be like, don't believe everyone. Like, some things are not what they seem.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, no, shoot, Mom.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Tongue
I love that.
hisses out of her mouth.
Yeah, that was so badass, though. I wasn't terrified of her. Ooh, cool girl.
Give me some kind of investigation check. That can be straight intelligence. That can be another skill that you think applies.
Yeah, I'm just thinking based on the fact that he had a one-on-one conversation with Freddy, and he knows, and because of the lore check and just getting in Caitlin's head.
Yeah.
So
If you want to connect with any of us too, I'm happy to help out.
yeah. Could we maybe circle back up?
Yeah,
at Thorne?
Research
Really?
party.
You find Thorne at the Chili Pavilion, who is 4 chili to-go cups in, has been here for a minute, and...
So since this is the first time that Greystone has entered the hallowed halls of the Chili Pavilion, why don't you describe it for him?
Please.
You know, like when I say Pop's Diner, that should give you a pretty good idea-wise. It's very soda counter. There's a guy behind the counter. Bert's behind the counter. He's got several different apparatusi for dispensing hot chili. There's one that looks like a soft serve machine.
So many license plates.
Yeah, everywhere. Soda gun
Jukebox.
is chili.
Okay.
There's a window putting hot bowls of chili up. Starbucks cups that he puts chili into. And that's what Thorne has discarded. Obviously intending to leave after the first one, but instead having 5 chilies.
Okay.
I believe you at one point described it as being painted the color of stained Tupperware that had chili in it at some point.
It's warm.
Yeah.
Just like translucent red. Like,
Yeah.
I'd love for poor Mara girl. She stumbles in there and it's like, Bert, I need the number 3 right now, man.
Bert, who looks exactly how you think Bert looks. Just a moment later, it sort of slides across the the bar top over to you.
Catch it perfectly on time. Take it, plop down next to Thorne. With a sigh.
There's just a mug of clean spoons in the middle of the table.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, Greystone, I got us our inn. So we're going.
Oh, excellent.
Luckily, we won't be at my mother's table. You'll know her when you see her. Don't speak to her ever or look at her, maybe. Just for weird woman. Lots of you know what? Yep. Just don't look at her even. Don't perceive her. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You got Greystone in?
Thorne, you said you had it covered.
No, yeah, it's good. I'm glad you got Greystone. I was just kind of worried about that.
Some coveralls with dirt and grime on them sort of fly over the banquette and land in Thorne's lap.
Yeah, you knew I failed. Thank you.
You're telling me not to look at the woman who bankrolled our entry.
Yep. I took care of whatever gratitude you may wish to exhibit to her. Just word of advice, she is a pretty prominent figure in these sorts of social situations, and for us to do our investigative work, for the sake of the mission, I would just not engage with her.
Yeah, maybe don't look at or engage with anyone. Don't tell anyone your name, even.
What? It is a social gathering, Thorne. What do you mean?
Whoopsie. To err is human, and to be a human is to be a satyr. So, yeah.
To be a satyr?
Yeah. That was more of a me thing. I called somebody in an attempt to get invited to work on their security detail, and I was still thinking about the comments you made this morning, and I may have told them you may possibly be a murderer.
Okay, so just to be clear, I asked you what your contribution to the team was after you tried to take $10,000 from one of your teammates.
And I felt threatened masculinity.
And so now you went and told a security detail that I am a murderer.
I was thinking rash. Maybe a murderer. I just had to watch out for you.
You are a loose cannon, my friend. I love it.
Bang!
Cool. I don't love that personally, because now the person that I'm taking, I had this whole front with my. Okay, you know what? Maybe if you had some edge to you, Greystone, perception-wise, for the people in the room, maybe that would be a good thing. Maybe it's fine. It's cool. Yeah.
Did you give them a physical description? What are they looking for?
No, I did the pettiest bullcrap possible. I just said to watch out for gambling, and then I hung up.
Okay, so we're gonna call you Greystone and Greystone only. No first name for you tonight.
Okay.
Or tomorrow night, whatever it is.
Well, that works for me.
It all worked out, and no one's to blame. Another round on me. Bert?
I am so fascinated. Granted, I'm a bit furious, but I am just even more fascinated that was your response.
I had to establish a threat.
Instead of talking to me about it.
Aubrey, how did your outing go? I see you got some new uniforms?
Yeah, we've gotten in tomorrow.
Okay.
Helping move some bonsai around, then trimming stuff up as people arrive.
Great. Thorne, you've got all your sillies out. Please just listen to Aubrey now.
Can we give her one more pick? Poor pick.
We could do a Get the Sillies Out song.
Yeah.
Before you do a high stakes heist, you gotta get the sillies out.
Yeah. So true. Yeah, that's a good.
Let's go fast.
Yeah. Whee! Woohoo!
It's a very high-stakes occasion, and you gotta be thinking straight. It's maybe an art heist gala, or a very first date. Your mind's gotta be in it. Sure. No time to waste. You gotta lower those expectations and set the pace. You gotta get the sillies out. You gotta get the sillies out. That is when you know you finally figured it out, 'cause you get the sillies out.
So serious, so locked in. No sillies here, not even a smile or a grin.
Boo.
you're planning to do something on the town. You gotta get your sillies out. You gotta be done clowning. Gotta get your sillies out. You gotta get your sillies out. You gotta get your sillies out. You gotta get your sillies out.
You gotta get the sillies out. Whee! You gotta get the sillies out. And when you've gone and done that, well, you'll finally have it figured out. 'Cause you'll get the sillies out.
That might. I don't think that my mic track will make it into that song, but that was the most fun I've had doing this song.
So good.
Now that the sillies are out, are there any more things you wish to do to prepare for this?
Smash cut to the most like stately getting ready montage. Serious,
Yeah.
stoic.
Okay. I would like to whatever the mechanic is for us to work together to like piece together what this cult-like draw is.
Let me just make sure that I understand correctly. You are trying to learn anything that you can about this cult.
Right. And I would say,
Or you sort of put it into, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
yeah. So if I could understand, like, actually hear someone tell me the good news, if you will, then that would be ideal. But I would think like I would still be happy just to find out what is the appeal.
Yeah.
Piecing together, I would say Greystone has done a lot of investigation over the years, so like he's probably able to size up Freddy, and then based on what everyone has learned, he might be able to put together what is this draw? Why? Now that he's in Caitlin's head, why would he have this appeal?
Is your approach to try and talk to people? Are you trying to like go back to the library train and do research? What are the how are you approaching this? And then I'll just sort of define what the role is.
So he's had all day. He's been walking around, getting in her head. I would say he's probably stopped by the library train to read one or two books that he's followed here. He's asked questions in a non-obvious way, but just like
great.
He's learning about Freddy von Sweden, the town, and Caitlin.
Okay, to represent talking to people, I'll take either charm or negotiation.
Sweet.
To represent the research at the library, I'll take any sort of intellect-based check, and the library, of course, is going to give you some blue dice for that.
Awesome.
I would love to help out with any of this that I can, too.
Let's start with negotiation.
This is chatting with people around town in the arts district as you were doing your montage. So this is just going to go against 2 purple. Ooh. Looks like
Yeah. So
success with an advantage. So the impression that you get of Von Sweden when you sort of surreptitiously ask questions about him is that a lot of artists in town have done a stint with him as a patron. And while doing it, they were doing the best work of their lives and then crashing incredibly hard.
Okay.
It's a muse, but like a malicious muse.
That's why he was so animated.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then at the library, some sort of intellect-based check with the library helping you out.
So that learning from Freddy, or that learning of Freddy, that covers the success and the advantage, right?
So that covers the success. If you have any ideas of what an advantage might be, I'm happy to entertain them.
Does that description throw off any sort of, like, would that remind me of any sort of magical phenomenon that happened before? Or does it just register as, oh, rich patron who gives artists cocaine?
For that in particular, I will take a knowledge, we call it sacred for sort of religion things.
Belief?
I'll take a knowledge belief. And this is also going to go against 2. And if you want to confer with your teammates, they may be able to help you in this.
I just had wanted to sort of imagine that as we're reading in the library and the inspector is looking at like history of cults, history of the town. You see Aubrey with a big book that's like looks very stately and boring, and then inside is the glossy magazine about the train with the sad inspector photo. I think what I'm trying to do is figure out if anything that's happening, if there's any sort of connection there, the way that it's like rich people gathered in one place had this strange phenomenon.
Right.
I am happy to, as I discreetly do this, answer any questions about Fae, about bargains. Fae are often, they make deals that take something from you that you don't expect, and often what they do offer is creativity or inspiration.
I'm going to say the thing that puts the two of you off of it being likely to be Fae is that the people remain in this world as they're interacting with this patron. Right? They may sort of dive wholeheartedly into their work, but it's not like they go into a summer wood or something like that.
I don't think it's Fae at this point, but magic preys on people that way, right?
So again, I'll call for specifically for a either straight up intellect check or if you have any points in knowledge belief, then you can use that more specific skill.
The character sheet that I built, I don't believe had like belief.
Yeah, that was
I think it's it's normally willpower based. You want to do lore and I'll do belief?
Sure.
Throw in a blue dice because the library is helping you out.
Ooh, interesting.
It's a bunch of advantages.
So many advantages, but a failure.
4 advantages and a failure.
So I think you're able to cross a lot of things off the list.
Awesome.
How many advantages is that?
4.
I think that means Aubrey gets four blue dice on this roll. That seems like a useful immediate advantage. Do you need one more?
That is a great GM
you got 4?
move.
Okay.
I've never done magic in my life, but I do have a lot of dots in this. On my sheet, technically. Just sort of vestigial. Anything else? And 2?
2.
Woo, shake, shake.
So many dice.
Nope.
Nope.
What?
I am
2 dice.
gobsmacked by
I
this.
rolled 8 dice that are good and 2 dice that are bad, and there's more bad than good on this. Unfortunately.
This is insane.
Yeah.
It's actually one failure.
One failure. Can I spend a chip to roll to upgrade a die and see if I can do anything with that? Or?
So here's what I'm going to say is that that particular avenue, the materials that were available to you at the library were not helpful.
Yeah.
Right. There's nothing that you found in stories matched up. If you can think of another.
There are 6 advantages. Maybe
Yeah.
we can get a hint towards a place that we could look. That's
You've always got your Mara and Thorne's mentor Lucy that you can talk with. If there's other people in your world who might know more, or now that you sort of have more insight, if you wanted to go snooping around vans, you could do something like that as well.
What was interesting was the use of the word muse, and then my.
I almost want to talk to Mara about it, about her family and how they pull people into their orbit, because
Right.
it feels like a case of, if not the same type of magic, maybe parallel thinking.
Because what I was gonna.
Yeah, sorry, I've got one more thing before we leave the library, because otherwise I will absolutely lose track of it. Let's just get one straight up intellect check using whichever of you has the better intellect check, sort of digging into the history of this person, sort of looking into magazine articles, etc. Just about Van Sweeten.
Great. So an intellect check.
What is your score in intellect?
3.
Yep, so that there's not really a way to train intellect more directly than that, so it is going to be 3. You're going to get a blue from the library and a blue from Aubrey helping you out as well.
I can add 2. My intellect is not great, but I can add 2 ranks to attempts to track someone's information, to dig up information on someone.
Oh yeah, that's great.
Could I contribute that to?
Yeah, so upgrade 2 of those greens.
It's
to
2 auto
yellows.
successes.
2 auto successes.
Yeah.
Dang, that's okay. Then don't upgrade them. Take the 2 auto successes and roll the check, and they get added in.
I just offer a lot of tips about his garden. Oh, we did one finally. We've done it.
So that's seeing successes with some threats.
Yeah, looks like we have
1 threat and 6 successes.
Yeah.
So you're digging through magazines, and then you realize like, oh, this guy's been active for a while, and then you start looking through microfiche, and you're like, oh, this guy's been active for a while, and then you find that he came to foxglove from Paris, and you start looking through French magazines and microfiche, and you see that he'd been active there for decades.
Is he an inspiration vampire?
And you see, like, you eventually dig and dig and dig and dig back into history books, and you find the name Gottfried von Swieten listed as a patron to Haydn and Mozart.
What?
Okay. Yeah. This is great because no shot. No lie. If we hadn't had this role, I was gonna say, could I just take a random guess that the artists' souls are getting sucked into the art that they're making?
In the history books, when you see him referenced there, his father is listed as a notable person as well. He is specifically noted as having disproven the existence of vampires to the Dutch court at the time.
I would love to have been there for those legal proceedings.
Just trust me.
No, vampires, they can't eat garlic. And
They eat creativity. I mean, nothing, because they're not real.
You can't see a vampire's reflection. Am I a vampire?
Because they're not there.
Oh, sorry, I can't come in because I haven't been invited yet. It's just all too convenient.
My nanos are just so good.
It's just manners.
You're really, I think, putting your fingers on something there. For example, Mara, you've seen Freddy in the sun, right? So if you're trying to categorize him as a vampire, that may be correct, but also...
It's something that's parasitic in a similar way, but not after blood.
Obviously, powerful people in town, secrets are known. Like, that could be why, Miss Vertere knows about this.
Mm-hmm.
But I was also wondering if there was another connective tissue in the fact that sirens are a Greek myth, and the whole muse thing is also Greek, and if that's a thread to pull it all. But if this is where we're at, then
I think
great.
I said muse.
Yeah,
Okay,
the research that they didn't connect
Great,
anything
cool.
to that.
Love it.
Yeah.
All right.
Energy creative vampire.
You are welcome to do more research if you want, but you feel like you've gotten some very strong clues as to what the situation is.
Yep. I would say the only thing that we didn't look into was weaknesses and strengths of this kind of vampire lore.
Because if sunlight's not a problem, if you're a fancy diner guy, presumably garlic isn't a problem.
Can we very quickly do research on that case?
Steak in
The case his father made to, like, the Dutch Parliament to prove that vampires aren't real. Is there anything he was like,
Oh, sure.
no,
legal
that
text.
doesn't work?
Yeah, you read up on it, and it's more sort of showing that it makes no sense for this sort of sanguinary vampiric creature that was widely feared at that time. This blood-drinking, undead, or risen from the dead creature was there. The things that people were fearing, he essentially showed perfectly rational explanations for each and every one of them, owing to things like decay, owing to things like what foods the deceased had eaten prior to their death.
Boring.
Nothing, unfortunately, that helps you in this.
No Achilles' heels planted conveniently.
Correct.
Great.
Yeah. The other thing that I will just point out is that this is a creature who has lived for centuries. So if you come at the king, you best not miss.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going to say, like, is there a world where we can get our gal and get her out and maybe have to make some sort of bargain, but we're not trying to get the whole... Unfortunately, we're not trying to go for the whole banana in this case, necessarily.
I feel like breaking her out of a thrall is actually easier than breaking her out of a cult. Like a vampire spell.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Which I think we would all kind of infer is what's going on.
We all
here.
breathe a sigh of relief as we might get our money.
There's a
ready
montage of makeovers that are
And a
happening.
sober, serious montage. Not at all silly. No whimsy to be had as we stoically and dramatically prepare for a fancy occasion.
Aubrey's training me out front in how to garden proper and better so I don't embarrass them.
And I imagine it's a lot of, nope,
Yeah.
don't touch that. Don't touch that.
A thin black tie, full Windsor knots, shiny brass cufflinks, the shiniest ones you got. Straight shoulders, long trow. We're gonna go in style, and this is how. 'Cause we gotta dress for the occasion. We gotta dress for the occasion. We're going somewhere real fancy, that's our destination. So we gotta dress for the occasion.
Coveralls on, zipped up nice. Think we're at this party? Well, you're gonna think twice. 'Cause we're helping out. You're gonna overlook the people in the background. Don't watch us cook. 'Cause we're gonna dress for the occasion. You gotta dress for the occasion.
Oh, take the neck a little lower. Get that perfume off the shelf. Yeah, you want something good? Well, we're gonna give you hell. It's the shiny red dress that sits at the back of the closet all year. But now that time to wear that thing, oh baby, it's finally here. You gotta dress for the occasion. You gotta dress
For the occasion.
You gotta look the part if you wanna save the artist. You gotta look the part if you wanna save the artist. You gotta look the part if you wanna save the artist. You gotta look the part if you wanna save the artist. You gotta dress
for the occasion.
save the artist.
You gotta dress for the occasion.
And when the people see you, they'll say, you're not on vacation.
No, you
'Cause
gotta
you're
dress for the occasion.
Rolling up.
There's like a slow motion of everybody walking in line, wearing very, very fancy clothes and also landscaping coveralls as we slow motion walk and split up.
As in Ocean's 11, like,
Yeah.
we're in the bottom left promo, these guys are in the right, and we split off into two idle frames, walking around, cutting trees. Me getting yelled at by Aubrey.
Makeovers completed, our acoustic investigators head to philanthropist and suspected rapscallion Freddie Van Sweeten's party. Will they be able to rescue Caitlin and salvage her savings? Find out next time on RPG Major.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Reminder, over in our Discord, you can take part in our weekly song drawing. Submit an idea for a song, whether it's something in-world or just something you'd like to hear a song about, and every week we'll choose one of them to improvise a song about next time we get together. It's going to take a couple weeks before these start coming out because we record kind of infrequently, but submit your ideas now, and maybe you'll hear us singing a real dumb song about it soon. Inspector Greystone was played by our special guest, Seattle improviser Jeffrey Kranz. Find his comedic shenanigans on Instagram at Jeffrey_the_red. Mara Vertere is played by Lauren Drake. If you're listening to these as we release them, look for her in a production of Snowed In at Arts West this holiday season. You can also find her performing with musical improv team We Have Some Notes or on socials at La La Drake. Aubrey Stump is played by Camilla Franklin. You can find her performing as part of musical improv team Fancy Cafeteria and on Instagram at Camillastrator. Camilla also creates all the art and visual design for the show. Thorne is played by AJ Krumley. You can find them performing in Seattle at Comedy Sports and with Crooked Street Theatrics and Productions. They're on Instagram at Major Fraser. All music for this arc of RPG Major was created live in the room by Noah Samuels. You can find him on Instagram at Samuels_Noah. And I'm Helix. Find me performing with Jet City Improv and musical improv team We Have Some Notes. Connect with me and the cast of the show on social media at RPG Major or on our Discord. We'll see you next time. I'm gonna give my cat dinner. We can get started. Tell me about what you remember from last time.
We investigated a country club.
Hot on the case.
Where
Caitlin's missing.
a cult.
Yeah, Colt.
Yep.
Caitlin disappeared from her home in Asteroid City, leaving her wife Megan in a lurch, hiring
She took all the money.
She took all the money.
Investigator Greystone to find her and the missing money. Greystone has come to the city, Foxglove,
We run the library.
and has secured the backing of an intrepid trio of young investigators eager to prove themselves. The locals show him around, hopping on some trains and eventually discovering that Caitlin played with a string quartet, occasionally at a local game store, but increasingly under the sway and thrall of Freddie Von Sweeten, a big deal philanthropist, Mara's next door neighbor, and possible cult leader. He's hosting a big party tomorrow, the circumstances of which mirror the circumstances of a weird thing that happened on a train that Greystone holds in his dark, hidden past. Are they connected? Who knows? Will we save the day? Who knows? Will we get the money? Who knows? But we're sure gonna try.
Today's radio drama is brought to you by Sensodyne. Brush your teeth correctly.
Let me just walk over to this microphone.
Oh no, a gun!
Time to open the door.
A clown? Sorry. That was a theater piece right there.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
That's the Patreon content right there. If you're listening,
Just old radio man.